Welcome to the Ozol Show. Today we have Ghog, the popular photographer, here with us today. You're welcome.
Thank you, Oswald, for having me.
Today we are going to talk about how to become a photographer in 2020 as part of the Career Starter Pack series. And I know a lot of people are going to be interested in this because content creation and photography has become quite a big thing among normal people because we all have smartphones in our hands that we can take pictures with and do all kinds of things with. So people have become more interested in it. And you are a professional.
Yes.
I'd like you to share experience with us. Can you just tell us who you are? Like Charlie, just tell us more about who you are and what you do so that we can really respect where our information is coming from. I know you're an accomplished photographer and you are very popular. So for those who don't know you, can you just tell us something about what you do?
Okay. So my name actually is Lawrence Keku, and the brand name is Ghog Photography. So I don't know much about being a popular photographer, but I consider myself a creative. I started out as a graphic designer. I still do graphic design, but not for clients, for myself and for friends. So I branched out to photography full time, and I primarily do weddings and events, and then portraits. But on the other hand, too, I do products, food, commercial stuff. So sort of a balance, and I think that has been helpful in this Corona season where events events are on hold. So I'm still quite busy. Um, I've been doing this for 5 years, since 2015. That's when I decided to start being a photographer. And I was in school at the time, second year. So professionally, I'll say I've been doing this for 2 years, since 2018. Yes, professionally, I've been doing this for 2 years. So that's about it.
In 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
That means there's still
well,
starting, right? That's Charlie. It's not about time. The time you used to start, you can still blow. It's not like an industry where you have to do it for a long time, for many years before you actually get an audience and get like a fan base. Okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, there are so many things involved in that as well. Talking about your network and then the people around you and all those things. All those things influence your growth. But that's not to say that time is a factor because it's important in your learning process, in your beginning stages. So I can't discount the first 3 years and say they were not part. They were very, very formidable. They were basically the foundation for the next, the
Okay.
preceding 2 years. So yes, it's very important.
Okay, that's great. So, product photography, weddings is your specialty, and
Yes.
that's great to hear. I would like to ask, what makes a person a photographer? If I have a camera, like there's a camera here,
Yep.
camera, and I take pictures, does that make me a photographer because I take pictures, or there's something else that actually you need to get into, or you need to have, or you need to do for us to be able to say, oh, this person is a photographer?
Well, yes. If you have a camera and you take pictures, you're a photographer. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. You're a photographer. But
Yeah, I can put it in my bio.
but
What do you think? I can add it to my.
yeah, you can put in your bio photographer. I mean, people call themselves iPhone photographers and smartphone photographers. Once you can take a picture, you're a photographer. But the thing is, and that's also because you don't really need a certificate or any um, diplomatic document to say that you're a photographer or that. You may want to have those for certain jobs and all those. But you can, once you take pictures, you call yourself a photographer. That's fine. Now, you calling yourself a photographer is up to you. For the audience to call you a photographer or to your services as a photographer, that's also another thing.
Okay.
You understand? Yes. So you can call yourself a photographer. You can call yourself anything you want. That's fine. But for a recognizable audience to call you that, then it means there's something to it. You understand?
Okay. So what do you need to put into it? So what draws the line? What is the difference between somebody that the market and the audience accepts as a photographer and somebody who is just a picture taker? Like,
Well, the barrier is your portfolio. Your
okay.
portfolio, your reputation, those coming together form your brand. So if your portfolio speaks for itself, you have a good reputation with a number of clients, word of mouth sells a lot. So, and your online presence and all that. Generally, if anyone should come in contact with your work and there's a distinct excellence to it, then yes. Then they agree that, okay, this is a different kind of photographer. Usually they say this is a professional photographer. But then basically a professional photographer is anyone who makes money from it. It's not really about the work, but yeah.
Okay. That's great. Can you share how you started? Sort of how you started and what you started with.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I started about 5 years ago, 2015, 2015 in school, KNUST. I was reading communication design, which had photography as a course in there. So that's where the introduction began. And so we had photography assignments. You had to find a camera. I didn't own a camera then. So I would borrow cameras from friends and seniors. And I was interested. So I would try and do the assignment myself with what I was taught in class and what I learned on YouTube. So that's how it started. And then,
You learned on YouTube.
yes, YouTube and friends.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, YouTube is Universal University.
I owe them tuition fees. Like I can literally pay them
Yeah.
something, like actually take something because you guys have
So,
almost everything I know. So
yeah,
that
well,
you
mhm.
someone to teach you or take you through or guide you specifically.
Yes, I did. I did have a number of people around who were, I was able to ask questions and
Yes.
find out more about the crafts. At the time, I was very close to Click Coffee and another colleague who is now a videographer, Benedict. And then a few other not so close photographers, but then I had constant communication with them so I could ask questions and all that.
Okay. So when you started, you had let me call them mentors. You had
Yeah.
mentors, and then you had YouTube. So
Yes.
what exactly did you learn from your mentors, and what did you learn from YouTube, and what's the difference in the contribution of those two different sources to your present ability and skill? Because we want to know whether if someone doesn't have mentors or is not fortunate enough to be close to someone who is like a professional photographer around, who is at the level that they want to be, can they still get that from YouTube, or there are certain things that you need to really go to like a professional photographer to help you to understand?
Okay, so that depends on you as the individual and how you learn. For me, I would say I was fortunate to have them around, so I just had to take advantage of it.
Okay.
And YouTube was is a universal access, so definitely I couldn't shy away from YouTube. So it's not impossible to do just YouTube and yourself and be successful. It's not impossible. I mean, there are a lot of people who have done that. Yes, and having mentors is just like going to school. You go to class, they teach you. By the end of the day, it's up to you to learn more, to dive deeper, to be more curious. So
Okay.
that's where YouTube comes in. And then you practice for yourself over time.
Okay.
Yes. So anyone without a mentor it's not really a big deal.
Okay.
It's not problematic. You can do it. You can go to YouTube, practice for yourself. If once you're determined, I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible.
Okay.
Yes, we still go to YouTube.
That's wonderful. I s- I know a little about photography and video and all that because when I decided to start my YouTube channel, I started to
Yeah.
do a few things, and I learned a lot of things on YouTube. Like I would be watching Peter McKinnon and
Yeah.
or something, what's his name, and a lot of other guys on there, learning about things I need to do, especially when I need to buy gear. And
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't really have a lot of people around that I could talk to or like ask a lot of questions about, I was mostly just freestyling it. And I've been doing that for a lot of things with my in my career and other things for a long time now. So I had to learn a lot of things late. So I definitely think that it would be good to have a mentor who can tell you about certain things. Like if I had
Yeah.
someone who told me that lighting was very important, it's probably like I don't know. For me, looking at my set quality, lighting is probably about 60 or 70% of what makes it good. Because I record with my iPhone, like I'm using my iPhone right now. It can give like probably 1080p or it can even record 4K. But the quality between lighting and other things was a huge difference. It's like if I had someone to tell me that, it would have been really beneficial for me. So that's what
Definitely.
I wanted to understand the differences in YouTube and then going to get a mentor if you can. But I also wanted people to be aware that if you probably don't have a mentor, you can go on YouTube and do something with that. Anyway.
Definitely. Definitely you can. And it's just that the mentorship gives you an added advantage, like you mentioned. Yes. What it may take you 2 years to find out on YouTube, your mentor can just tell you in a week or one day on a set. You understand? So mentorship works, but then it's like I was saying, it's not the only thing you need to rely on. I tend to find most people do that where they end up bombarding their mentors like everything they want to know from their mentor, and it can be annoying because like you can research for yourself. This is something you should take initiative. Go on YouTube, try and find out. If you are not able to find it, then you go to your mentor and say, "Oh, I've been trying to find this thing. I'm not getting it. Do you have any idea?" I mean, your mentor will even appreciate that. Yeah, you are trying to do something for yourself. You understand? No one likes to be spoon feeding anybody, even lecturers you pay don't want to spoon feed you. So
So
yeah,
mentors are like the lecturers. They teach you certain things, they set you out on the journey and they correct you at certain points, but you have to keep the learning
not exactly,
and go.
exactly.
Okay.
Otherwise, you end up being like your mentor, which is something you don't want to do in this world. I mean, at the end of the day, you are supposed to have your identity. You
Yes.
understand? And a good mentor will not want you to be a photocopy of them because then they realize they are setting you up for failure. You understand? So identity matters, and then that's where you have to find for yourself, discover yourself, and all that. So
Okay.
that's where the YouTube and mentorship comes together to create you, the unique person. You understand? Uh-huh.
Okay, that's fantastic. And so you didn't have any gear when you started.
Personally, no, I didn't. The first thing I bought was an SD card, so I could use other people's camera.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, that's so you can actually decide to start by borrowing and testing people's equipment, right? and then maybe you find what works for you.
Yeah, you find what works for you. If you have along the line, you're able to gather some funds, you can start with a camera that you are able to afford.
Okay.
Then you take it from there. Yes.
Okay. So there's something about me that when I start something, I always want to get the best of it. So till now, I haven't bought a camera. This is my friend's camera.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he doesn't use it, so I just borrow it to shoot some stuff.
Okay.
And the reason is because I want to buy a Sony A7 III or a Sony
Okay.
R, so one of them, yeah,
Yeah.
or an EOS R, and like I want something that's going to give me like something. That's what do you have to say to me? Because I don't have that, sometimes I stop myself from taking certain initiatives. You get
Mm-hmm.
yes, and it's like sometimes you feel like if I don't have this, I can't start. So what do you have to say about having get gear and getting gear and starting with that?
Okay, so what I have to say is you should stop chasing perfection. That's what you're doing now. You're trying to, like, you want your first start to be perfect. You understand? But it doesn't work that way. There's no way it works. No. You can always be better. Even if your first start is what you call perfect today, tomorrow you look back and it's like, what was I doing? Because eventually you get better. So you should just start with what you have. I mean, if you can afford the cameras you're mentioning, that's fine. But it shouldn't, if it's going to take you a long time to get that camera, that's a lot of time you are wasting.
Okay.
That's a lot of time you are not learning anything. That's a lot of time you're not making any mistakes. You understand? So if you can get that camera now, fine. Whatever camera you have now, you should use it, make all the mistakes. At the end of the day, even with that camera, you're still going to make mistakes. Even with the professional top cameras, you still make the mistakes. You understand? So yes, with gear and all those things, we tend to want the latest. We tend to want the best because that's what they are telling us that it's the best. But then the following year they'll bring you another one and tell you that one is better. You
Okay.
get it. So there's never a best. So whatever you have, you just need to learn with it. When you get comfortable and you begin to understand the limitations that okay, I need this one because it's better in so and so areas, then you upgrade. If not, there's no point. Otherwise, they'll keep chopping your money. Or every year they'll bring a new camera. Every year they'll bring a new camera. You get it. So I think you should stop chasing perfection. Like I was saying, just keep practicing. Just start.
Okay. So we'll come
Yeah.
into a more detailed conversation about gear, but
Mhm.
right now I would like us to talk about the fields of photography. Is every photographer every general, or that somebody who do weddings is someone who does weddings able to do a product shoot or able to do portraits. I don't know the various things that are in there, but
Yeah.
what are the various fields of photography that you can tell us about?
Okay. So for the various fields, it's open to the interest of the person
Okay.
and how dedicated they can be. You can shoot weddings, and then you can decide to shoot insects. You can shoot weddings. You can decide to shoot products. You can shoot sports and decide to shoot fashion. It's open to everyone. You understand? It's all about your interest and education. But the thing is, from the business perspective, you cannot put all under one umbrella, or it's not advisable to put all under one umbrella.
Okay.
You understand? Because you cannot have, let's say you go to your website and you have a bride's picture, and then there's food, and then there's an insect, and then there's that, and there's a shoe. You begin to wonder, okay, so what do you do? What kind of photographer is this person? You understand? That's from the business perspective. But when it comes to the skill, it's open to everybody.
Okay.
So here you tend to find that most photographers, judging by Instagram and social media, are wedding photographers and portraits. And yeah, you rarely find products or wildlife or all those things. But there's a very vast field when it comes to photography. There's weddings, there's portraits, there are wildlife, there's products, there's still life, there's commercial, there's advertising, there's fine arts, there's beauty, there's boudoir, that's the nude and all those.
Okay.
So it's really, really broad. There's sports, and even in sports, with all these, there are more divisions again. So in sports, there's someone who specializes in football or basketball or tennis or golf,
Okay.
that kind of thing. There are specializations, but then the fields are very, very. There are a lot. There are people who even do medical photography. They are found in the hospitals, the theaters. They take the pictures. There are people who do crime scenes, but then usually in this part you don't really find those kind of genres a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've realized, like from what you're saying, is that the market is so vast and there are so many areas there, and
Yeah.
some of them are even new to me, like wildlife photography. Like I've been seeing it, but it has never registered that. Okay, like I can actually
That's a whole thing.
take pictures of animals and make a
Yeah.
whole career out of it. So it sounds like there's a big market for more photographers in the country. Do you think so, or do you think it's crowded?
Um, I don't know. Okay, so in the country, when it comes to across all genres,
Uh-huh.
I think there's the possibility, but it will take an outlier to crack it. Because let's say you want to do wildlife in Ghana,
Okay.
you can. You have to identify the forest reserves and all that. You can. But if you want to make a career out of it, you need certain, should I say, ladders to climb or certain networks to be able to make money off a photo of a giraffe here in Ghana. You understand? Maybe you are linked to international suppliers. That's fine. But internally, I don't know anyone who is interested in your photo of a giraffe to print in the newspaper or a magazine or to even frame.
Yeah.
And even if they are interested, how much are they willing to pay for it? You understand? Yeah. So in terms of the wide or the broad genres of photography, I'm not very confident that it's open to more photographers.
Okay.
However, with the few that are thriving in this country already, like weddings,
Yeah.
um, there are no gatekeepers. That's it. You can get up to them and decide to be a wedding photographer. Nobody can ask you any question. Yeah. Is it saturated? Yes, it is. But that also shouldn't stop you, because if that's the case, I wouldn't have started as well, because it has always been saturated. It will always be saturated, especially in this digital age. You understand? So does it make it competitive? Kind of, it does, because you have to be on top of your game
Okay.
all the time to be relevant, that kind of thing. Yes, but then it shouldn't stop anyone from wanting to be a photographer, or because when I started, um, there were actually a few people who asked me, like, you also want to be a photographer, like you too, like it honestly was discouraging. Like, what do you mean by you too? Like, it's like everyone's doing photography and you also want to do photography. Like, go and find something else to do, that kind of thing. But yeah, you have to want it. How bad you want it? That's it. Because there will always be photographers. There has always been photographers. You understand? So you not joining is not going to make the market less saturated. There's
Yeah.
no point. You have to just get it here.
Okay. Okay. I think that's great. And as you were speaking, one thing that occurred to me was considering the international market for certain things. So maybe those who are coming up as photographers need to be a bit more creative and to look at starting or leading the way in certain markets and connecting with other markets, because someone may not want a picture of a giraffe in Ghana. So if you start out as to say, oh, I want to be a wildlife photographer and I'm going to, you are thinking about Ghana, you are probably not going to be able to make it. But the thing is that digital media is easily exportable. It's easy to reach new markets with digital media. So maybe they can connect with international markets, identify people in certain places who are interested in such things, like
Exactly.
Nat Geo and other. Nat Geo is huge, so the probability that
I
they
know. But
will.
you never know. I mean,
Yeah, aside Nat Geo, there are other people and other businesses that are into wildlife and would love to have this kind of media for their websites and other things, and could
yeah,
get something out of that. So maybe there's a little bit of creativity that is needed, and not like you mentioned when you said because there are no longer weddings and things now, it's your product photography that is helping you. If not, Charlie, like you no go be easy try. Yeah,
at all.
yeah. So I think it's because you do mainly do weddings, and
Yeah,
then you decided to also go into product photography. I think personally, I think product photography, the product photography market is still quite open because
very open.
now everybody is coming on social media. Everybody wants to sell on social media. So
Exactly.
everybody is trying to put their product on their Instagram page or on their Twitter. But you don't just take the camera and just, oh, okay, papa, and you're gone. There's a way in
No,
which you take it and then you sell it. So I feel like those markets are still open. So I think it's a lot of it has to do with the creativity of the person who is starting. And since
exactly.
the wedding areas are saturated, maybe people can start to think of other areas and brainstorm to find. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I actually do encourage that. But one thing I've also come to realize, I don't know if it's a general human thing or it's a Ghanaian thing. We are waiting for someone to start it. When it's beginning to look successful, then we join in. You understand?
I
Yeah.
just
So I think that's the problem.
I just tweeted something a few minutes ago,
Hmm.
and I said if everybody is rushing to implement that business, a particular business model, or if you see a lot of people going to implement a certain business model, then you are already
Yeah.
late.
You're already late. Yeah.
And the world belongs to those who are able to go in and start. The first come first serve is a principle that actually works. So for me, like in my business interests, a lot of it is about creating new markets. Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing any business, like I'm doing about 4 or 5 different things
Okay.
creating, but none of them is in competition with anybody. It's like
Anybody.
it's new things. So because of that, even you're not even really afraid of competition and all that. So
Yeah.
I totally agree with you in the fact that they should do that. I think this has been really good, like a good conversation so far. I
It
would
has.
tell me what makes one photographer stand out apart from another person. Professional photographers. This one is not the picture takers and the professional photographers. This one is now about Charlie. You day, me to a day.
Hmm.
Draws the line. What draws the line?
What draws the line? Well, first of all, it's the portfolio again. How you see as an individual, as a creative, is different from how I will see. There may be similarities, definitely, but at the end of the day, I may prefer more black and whites than you. I may prefer more close-ups. You may prefer more wide. All those things. When the viewer is presented with both portfolios, they're able to identify those things easily,
Okay.
and then they decide what they are leaning towards.
We were talking about what makes one photographer stand out from another. And
Yeah, Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good. It's good you even brought in this quote now.
Yeah.
Um,
It is
what makes
not available on here, so I'm going to give the code that I said when we
you should add it.
yeah, yeah. So I was just telling Gog that there is a quote that has really helped me to understand the directions to take in business and other things. And that's from Naval. Naval said, escape competition through authenticity. And he says that you are the only you that you can be. And so when you are just being you, you are not really competing with anyone. And you are the best person who can be you. Yeah,
Exactly.
we're just talking about. You want to add some information to that, right?
Yes, yes. So that that goes in line with identifying or drawing barriers among photographers, because each photographer is striving to be as authentic as they can be, to be themselves. And in that way, just as their names are different, their works are different. Everything about them is different. There may be similarities, definitely. I mean, like humans, we have eyes and nose and head and all that, but then everyone is different. Your head shape, your eye shape, everything is different about you. So it translates into your work as well. What inspires you, what you, what your purpose is, what motivates you, all those things. Um, they come together and they bring out what you produce. So what you are consuming is different from what the next person is consuming, and so the next person's output will definitely be different from yours. And it's very intentional. That's the thing. It has to be intentional, because for creatives, it's easy to see this, you like it, and then like, oh, okay, let me do some. Go
Yeah.
ahead and then you do it. And then before you realize, you are now looking at everyone's work and trying to do this and that and that and that and that and that. It has to be intentional. You have to say, okay, this is nice. You appreciate it for what it is, but you tell yourself, this is not me, or this doesn't sit in my portfolio. This is not my style. You understand? So it's intentional as well as natural. Yeah.
Okay, so it's intentional and it's also natural. You have to consciously say this. So
Yes.
it's easy for people to say, hey, this person got this or this person is doing this and I want to be like them. So
Exactly.
I would end up doing what they do. And that's one of the reasons why in Ghana you find people doing mobile money here, 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 here.
There and there.
The
And
same.
then Indomie. Yeah, there.
Sometimes, sometimes you go and then the person you've been going to isn't there. And then
Now you don't know who to go to.
then the next time you even feel bad. It's like, what's this competition? Why are we doing this? Like it's not even get it. And we
Exactly.
vast areas of the market empty and deprived. Yeah, so I think it's something that we need to begin to think about very deeply. Anyway, that's awesome. So now this is career starter pack. Tell me
Mm-hmm.
what is the starter pack for a photographer? Someone wants to start, they have nothing, they know nothing. What's the starter pack in terms of one knowledge? Let's do
Yeah.
pack in terms of knowledge, and then secondly, starter pack in terms of gear. So let's start with knowledge.
Okay. So for knowledge, you need to avail yourself to every opportunity of learning.
Okay.
YouTube, mentors, um, blogs, anything you can consume, you should. And not just consuming. That's the thing. It's not just about ideas. It's about execution. And as much as you may think, oh, I've read this, I know this, trust me, you get on set and you sweat. You've forgotten, you have to practice it, you have to know it. So consume and produce.
Okay.
Whatever it is you learn, act on it. If you learned today about a particular lens or a particular way of shooting, go out there, practice it for a while, and then you move on to the next thing. You don't consume the information like you're reading a storybook. Just read everything. No, you read, you pause, or you study, you pause, you practice, you make yourself familiar with it, and then you go on. And then when it comes to gear,
Wait,
starter pack.
I have a follow-up question for this. What
Okay, okay.
sources we know of YouTube? So apart from YouTube, is there any other knowledge and learning that you can recommend or that you've come across?
Yes, YouTube is the boss. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
There are other photography blogs and even books. But then I've come to realize, or most people don't like to read, especially the beginners. You don't want to read photography books and all that. You want to see someone demonstrating and all that. Usually the books are read by people who have reached a certain level for them to understand the philosophy involved with pictures and all that. But for the practical skills, YouTube.
Yeah.
And let's say there are some blogs. There are some blogs like F-Stoppers.
Okay.
Yes, F-Stoppers. I don't really know the rest of the blogs, but
Okay.
even those blogs link you back to YouTube because they're just articles
Very
and
central
things that
place to
people.
get all this kind of information, right? Okay, okay. I think that's great. So you should learn as much as you can. Go on YouTube and practice what you learn. Try to.
All the practice is key.
Okay, 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 okay. That's great. And what about gear? What do you need to start if you are going to become a photographer?
Yes, so for gear you need a camera.
A camera.
Fundamentally, you need a camera. I'm not going to mention this kind of camera. Like any
Maybe,
camera is a camera for a beginner, right?
maybe you should, because when you enter into the world of cameras, it can be so confusing. Like I can spend up to 4 hours reading up cameras before I decide that, oh, this is the one I want to buy.
Yes. So well, that's because you have the privilege of having maybe funds. For someone who doesn't have all that volume of money,
Buy any
you
camera you see.
not just any camera you see. Okay, so I think that's what I need to clarify. But you need to start with a digital camera, not a film camera. I mean, if film is what you want to do, then you go with a film camera. But you need to start with a digital camera that has the manual settings. So it allows you to control the various components that go into making a photo.
Okay.
Yes, the automatic ones are just for, usually they are made for tourists and people who are just photography enthusiasts. So you see something, just snap, and then it does it for you. But if you want to go into it professionally, you need a manual digital camera. There are so many levels to it, but then if you just Google entry level digital cameras, yes, you get budget friendly suggestions to start with. So you need a camera, you need a lens. Usually these cameras come with lenses already attached. You can start with whatever lens that comes with it.
The lenses can be confusing because you don't know what lens does what, and sometimes you may be
Exactly.
using the totally wrong lens for the job, that kind of thing that you are trying to shoot.
Exactly. So that is also where your research on YouTube comes in, because then they will give you all this information about what lens you need for what and what. But then at the end of the day, you need a lens. You can't do without a lens. You understand? And then you need lights, whether you're using a flashlight, natural lights, or studio lights. At the end of the day, you need lights. Without lights, you cannot work. So a camera, lens,
Lights.
and lights.
Okay.
These are your basics. So if you have these, and then you start searching, you go on YouTube, you want to shoot this, you want to do this, and then you practice with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me say one camera that I've seen that is very popular in Ghana. I've seen a lot of people is the Canon, the Rebel T7. So is that
Yes, the Rebel cameras. Yes, those are solid entry level cameras.
okay?
I started with a 60D. which is a T3, a Rebel T3 equivalent. So yes, most photographers do start with the Rebel. They are budget friendly. They are manual as well. So they are good options.
Okay, okay. And for the lights, do you have any specific lights that you want to recommend?
Not necessarily. Any flashlights, any speed light or flash that can go onto the camera.
Okay.
That's compatible with the camera. You are good to go.
Can you show us?
Because when you're starting, you shouldn't be really, or you are not really worried about what exactly the flash can do in certain situations or certain environments. Yeah, you are not really into that technicalities. So you should just get anything that can produce light.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything to produce light. Okay, that's cool. I'm also learning a lot from this. One thing that I really need to learn is about the lenses. Like, okay,
Uh-huh.
the lens is not here. There are two lenses for this camera, and
Yeah.
I, I look at them and I don't even know the difference. Then I connect the two and I try to shoot and I don't see the difference. But when I look,
Don't.
the things that everything is different on the writing is different on it, but I don't really see the difference. So for lenses, I'm totally lost there. I've watched some videos, but still, Charlie, it was my brain. I don't really get it. What type of
It's it,
think would be good enough for, like, if you are starting out, maybe whatever you are shooting, this kind of lens or this kind of specification of lens can accommodate whatever type of, like, generally it will do well for most uh, scenes you'll be shooting.
okay. So generally, that would be a 50 millimeter lens.
50 millimeter.
Yes, a 50 lens. It's also There are also budget friendly options. I think they are among the cheapest of lenses you can buy. Yeah.
Some
So that's
cameras.
come again.
Some lenses are more expensive than the cameras.
Oh yes, definitely,
That's what I know.
definitely. So the 50 is a good starter if you have it. Usually beginners are fascinated by the blare background, blare. I mean, it gives you a good amount of blare. It
Okay.
gives you access to a good amount of group pictures and wide pictures and all that. So it's a starter. It's a good starter.
Okay. Okay. So
Yes.
lens, lights, camera, LLC. Yeah, I want to keep that. I can always remember. Lens and
Yeah.
camera. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's for the gear aspect.
That's for the gear. Okay. And then for knowledge, you should go on YouTube and watch videos and search for how to take. Okay.
Practice. Yeah.
That's totally fun. That's fantastic. So apart from the physical tools, what are the digital tools that one may need to help with, apart from the physical gear, in terms of editing, reproduction, and mastering of the.
Yeah. I think that also falls in line with the gear. You need a laptop,
Okay.
and for a beginner, I mean, usually beginners don't have the funds generally. You don't have the funds to get state of the art equipment and all that. So you just need a good laptop and editing softwares that can run on the laptop. So you have Photoshop and then there's Lightroom. These two are the fundamentals. So Lightroom and then Photoshop.
Okay.
And even now, we are fortunate to have them on our mobile phones. You can download them from the app stores and all that. Yes, so you can even take a picture with your phone, which is also the camera, and it already has a lens on it. So you can use it to take pictures, and then you use the apps on your phone, Lightroom, Photoshop to edit. So that's also one way of starting if you don't have access to a digital camera.
So you can use your phone and then go out and.
Yes,
Yeah. I
yes, you can.
I watched a video about where someone was comparing the iPhone 11 Pro Max to one
Digital camera.
Mac 4 or so.
Yeah, they always do that every year.
Yeah. So comparing it, and when you look at it, they said that because of software, the mobile
Mhm.
cameras are catching up with the hard
Yes,
cameras because
yes.
what this will do to process, the software can process what there are components in here to do to the picture. But in the end, usually the physical cameras win because of more things that they are able to do. What's your take on that whole battle? Smartphone? Should I go fully smartphone, or I should use? I should wait a bit and use uh, get a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. What's your take on that?
Um, okay, so if you're starting out from scratch, basically, you're trying to understand um, light or even editing mostly, your phone is your best friend because your phone is always with you. You can take a picture of something and then try editing black and white or in color. You're trying to do some catcher on it or something. You know, it's closer to you. And in certain areas, you're not even allowed to even take out your camera and be snapping and all that. Yes. So basically, you have to use what you have to the best of its capabilities. So if your phone can do A, B, C, D, you can use your phone to take a closer picture of a flower, you know, and then you try and edit it in a certain way, add some colors, take out some colors. It's all parts of the skill building. You understand? Yes, it's part of the foundation. With that skill, nobody is going to take it away from you. And you may be surprised what you end up using it for when you are doing professional work. Because then you are familiar with the tools. Like I said, Lightroom on YouTube, I'm sorry, on a smartphone is just as good as Lightroom on
Okay.
a laptop. You understand? So if you are familiar with the software already, that's a plus for you. It's better than it makes you better than someone who is waiting to have a laptop and a camera to start. By the time they start, or if you both end up having the camera within the same period, you'll be better. And you'll be like, didn't you just get a camera? But no, they don't know you've been practicing with your phone. You understand? So the practice is very, very important. So whatever you can practice with, you should go ahead with it.
Okay. I think that's fantastic. So
Yeah,
that's with digital tools. You can use your phone to start with, and then acquire a camera on your way up.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. That's great. So next thing is, what are some of the misconceptions about photography? I'm going to ask you one question that I know that people ask you all the time. I'm going to for sure. Uh,
Well,
is it okay?
um,
Let me ask you. Let me ask you. Hold on.
okay.
We hear that you guys, you get more girls.
Girls. Oh, okay. I thought
And
you were going to say we get more money.
oh, cool down. We'll come to we hear that you get girls and people
Mhm.
like you and all that. Is it true? I mean, I've always wanted to ask that. Is it true? Because from what I've seen about those who do portrait photography, most of the girls want to also have their own nice headshots and other things taken. So, how is it true? Is it true that you guys have a lot of girls?
Well,
But
I
the guys,
mean,
yeah.
it's true that we have they or we or they have a lot of girls around them. Definitely, because of what they do, they end up shooting um more female subjects. Also, to because a larger percentage of the photographers of us photographers do portraits and specifically portraits of women.
Okay.
So yes, that's what generates the whole photographers get girls. I mean, when will you shoot me, take a picture of me? Usually comes from the girls, not the guys. Yes. So yes,
So, all
that's
right.
the answer to
Thanks.
that.
Okay, so it's good to keep that there. I also want to ask about what are the financial opportunities for photographers. I usually don't like to compare people because it's about creativity. Some creativity
Mhm.
is rewarded and some isn't. It's not general. But what are the opportunities and the capabilities for somebody and earning potentials for people who are into photography or who are looking to enter into photography? How much
Um,
as a photographer?
how much?
Money can you make as a photographer?
Well, the possibilities are endless, if I
Okay.
should put it that way, because someone considered to be an advanced professional photographer will definitely make more than a beginner.
Okay.
So there are no set boundaries. You can poke as far as you want.
I want to hear some.
Um, come again?
I want to hear some numbers. Let's say an average
Oh,
photographer.
it's possible. Well, I don't have the figures. I
You
don't have.
talk about yourself, but you know you're in the industry. If I'm become a wedding photographer, how much do I think I can earn if I'm really good, average, and then the top ones? How much do the ones at the top earn? Like, and what about the ones on international levels? Because I know Bella Naija and Co. They are photographers and way more than somebody who is in a Obuasi doing wedding shoots. It's the same industry. So could you put some numbers to some of the levels for us to know?
Okay. Let me just put it this way. It's not difficult or it's not impossible for a photographer in Ghana to earn, let's say, or to gross about 300,000 cedis a year. It's
Yeah.
not impossible.
Charlie, catch the inside though. Hey,
It's not impossible to gross, I mean, that, or even 500,000
are
cedis.
people making that here? Oh, that's what you're saying. People can make that.
You can, yes. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. I may be overestimating it, but it's not, like I said, it's not impossible. Averagely 200,000 cedis a year should not be impossible.
Okay.
You understand? But just that there are so many things that go into it, as in your experience in the game, your network, your market position, and all those business stuff, all those things. Yes. Internationally too. I mean, there are people who charge for a wedding. There are people who charge $100,000 for a wedding. There are people who charge $50,000 for a wedding. Yes, exactly. There are people who charge commercials. For commercials, they are charging 100,000 cedis to shoot, and then they are making more in royalties.
Okay.
You understand? Once the photo goes on a billboard, they start earning again on that for as long as the photo is on the billboard and all that. Yeah, so you can be rich as a photographer, or through photography. You can. It's lucrative. You can be sustainable with it.
Okay.
Yes, it's a possibility. It's not a guarantee. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing people don't people don't want to understand.
Things are a guarantee in this world of ours.
Exactly. So it's possible. I mean, you can do it.
What are the most lucrative areas?
Here in Ghana, I'm assuming you're asking about Ghana.
Let's talk about Ghana and then let's talk about internationally. Because a lot of people watch this from outside the country as well.
Okay. So with Ghana, weddings are lucrative.
Okay.
Weddings are lucrative because they can be you can be booked as often. You can even be overbooked and all that.
Are you
Yes.
sometimes overbooked?
Um. Yes. Sometimes. Sometimes. So you have to you find yourself referring them to other photographers who may be available. Yeah, that happens as well. So wedding photography is lucrative. There's also the advertising side of things.
Okay.
That's also lucrative. Yes, you have the commercials, the billboard, the ads, all those. Those are also lucrative because corporates, they have money. So if you give them 10K, 50K, it's difficult to have a bride pay you 50K for a wedding than a company doing that. You
Yeah.
understand? Yeah. So those two are generally lucrative. Internationally too, I think it's about the same, but also it depends on the country you are in.
Okay.
You understand? It depends on where you are. But generally speaking, weddings, um, they seem to oppose. So weddings here and then advertising here. These two are good earners. These
Okay.
two are good earners. Yeah.
So okay. So can we add like naming ceremonies and all those things like personal
Yeah,
events?
those are events. Yeah, so you can add those to the wedding side. Yes, yes.
Okay.
But then that's generally because you'd find people shooting for, let's say, Nat Geo, who are earning a lot. You
Okay.
find people who are shooting sports.
Yeah.
Those sports photographers, you see, they are making good money. You understand? People who shoot for concerts. You have personal photographers for these big artists who shoot their concerts and travel around. They're also making good money. You understand? So it's not a must that you must go into weddings or advertising to make money. You
Okay.
just have to identify the opportunities around you. And if you're someone who has a lot of artist friends and all that, you can decide, okay, why not shoot their concerts and start from there? You understand? Uh-huh. That's just the smartest thing to do.
So do you think that you should do a few things for free to build your portfolio before you go? Because you've mentioned the portfolio as a very strong point of growth,
Mhm.
awareness, and creating an audience in the market so much that
Yeah.
what do you think are the strategies that, like when I mentioned that you can you should you go around doing it for free or you shouldn't? Because some people say when you do it for free a lot of the time, people don't want to pay you when you decide to start charging.
Yeah,
Start,
definitely. Because I mean,
yeah.
if let's say I shoot for you for free a couple of times, the conversation about me charging is going to be a difficult one because you're going to be like, why are you charging me now? Like, I may explain, you may understand,
I'll,
but even whatever I charge, you may even want to bring it down again.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You understand? Uh-huh.
Definitely not
So the best way.
work from me if you've already done too many things for free.
Mhm.
Between me and you and me, I would
Okay.
definitely negotiate it down. I would definitely say,
Definitely.
tier top. But you last time you can't do this thing. Give me like Charlie now. Charlie, I think we not go chess F. By the time you go reach chess then I already call the people where everybody makes set. You just go do crack 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 crack. Then you bob. Then it's like
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. So
So the best thing to do in building a portfolio is to shoot for yourself.
okay.
And shooting for yourself involves collaborations. So let's say you want to do a portrait. You find a friend or someone who is available to shoot, to pose for you. You find a makeup artist who is willing to to also come on board. If you need fashion, if you need clothes, you find a designer who is also willing to come on board, and then that's a collaboration. Everyone profits from it. It's not for free. It's different from the model or the makeup artist coming to you for pictures that they are going to make money from without paying you.
Okay.
That's the disadvantage. But in this case, you are all trying to create something of value to sell yourselves. You understand? And then also to the second part of it, which usually applies to weddings and events, is to find this internship, to be an intern, go on sets with this person, get the experience, shoot, make all the mistakes, have them correct you, all that. And then at the end of the day, you can get a few good pictures for yourself, even if it's not out there on social media, it's in your portfolio. If you have a conversation with someone, you tell them you're a photographer, oh, can I see some of your works? You have something to show for them. You understand? And if whatever it is that you show to them, if they decide to book you or they ask you, oh, so if you shoot this, how much will you charge? Even if you charge one city, it's better than not charging at all.
Okay.
Because once you involve money, they know that there's always going to be money in the conversation. You
Yes.
understand? But if you tell them, oh, this one, no problem, cool, then they'll come again. And the funny thing is, they may not come themselves. They'll tell their friend, oh, he did it for me for free.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
friend will come. And you mention money like, oh, but I just said you do it for free. Then you go. Then you vex. You
Oh,
understand? But then, you know, to every rule there's an exception. Let's say family and all those things, like, oh, this is a home person. You can decide because you have that relationship, or at the end of the day, there's something in it for you as well. That's fine. But usually from total strangers and people who look to exploit you, no, don't do it for free, no matter what. They may sell you exposure and all those things, but nah, don't do it.
They buy prepaid. So the thing is,
Yeah, exactly.
a lot of people there trying to exploit other people and get things for free.
Yeah,
In Ghana, actually, one thing I've learned and realized is that people don't respect craftsmanship as much. And sometimes they ask you, so why are you trying to charge 15,000 for this thing? It's like,
right?
why charge 15,000?
Why?
And when they look at you, they're like, are you coming to take 15,000? Anyway, so I think a lot of this also has branding and other things. I feel like
Yeah,
like this, the whole business side, after you've been taking a few pictures with your devices, now monetizing it there should be like a course for it. And there's this guy on YouTube that I really watch a lot. Oh, what's his name? I've forgotten his name. It's not fair to him that I've forgotten his name when I'm going to say this because I can't mention it. But he talks about he says, look, forget about the aperture and all those things. You can learn that from somewhere, but he's going to teach you how to monetize your business. And then
yes, it's very necessary.
one of the valuable things he said that I really liked, I think 2 weeks ago, was that don't negotiate your prices. Like when you tell someone this costs this, don't beat it down. If you are beating it down, you should be removing something from it.
Something from it, definitely, yes.
Like that,
Yes.
just knowing that alone, it helps. So are you what let's talk about mentorship now. The next thing is mentorship. Let's just transition there. We're already here. Do you
Yeah.
know young people who want to be or older people who want to become photographers? Do you have any mentorship opportunities for people, internships, people who just want to learn and from your experience? Do you have that? Do you have plans of creating courses or creating content that can help to teach and mentor people without you directly interfacing with them?
Yes. For the latter part, that's a long-term goal. That's a long-term goal. But for now, I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't really I wouldn't really call it internship and all that. Yes, there are people I do teach, I do take along, I do speak to, I do advise. Yes, but it's not the sort of internship you have to you write or you email and then you are like approved and all that. That hasn't started yet.
Okay.
That's also going to be a thing
Okay.
where we have internship programs. So that one you can take on more people and be more specific about it. But this one, what I'm doing now is more of on the go training, as and when I can. Yes, it's not really dedicated to that yet, but eventually
I
we'll get
imagine
there.
you get a lot of requests from people who want to learn.
Yeah, I do, and sadly, sometimes I have to turn a majority of them down because the structures are not in place yet. And although I don't explain that to them, I feel like they may think, oh, like he doesn't want to take people, he doesn't want to. I know, but at the right time. I mean, I intended to host my first workshop this year, and then Corona happened. You understand? So it's something we've been thinking about. It's something we've been thinking about.
Okay, I look forward to seeing your workshop when you prepare it. I'll help you to push it out with my own.
So thank you. That's appreciated.
And I would really, it would, if you could do it digitally, that would also be great so that you can reach.
Yeah, that would also help.
That's what,
We'll have to start to see.
yeah, Corona is trying to tell us that this thing you want to do physical, no, do it.
Digital. I know.
So it's like this because we know we're actually planning to meet and then shoot this Uh,
Yeah. We were supposed to meet and shoot this year.
Corona wasn't going, leaving, and it was like,
At
okay,
all.
this is a new way of doing things, so we have to
We have
embrace.
to do this.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
very much for coming on. You've said a lot of valuable things. A lot of
Thank you for having me.
people know which direction in which to move with photography and starting a career in photography. And I have also learned a lot of things. Maybe when you have some time, I'll come for you to explain the thing about the lenses to me and show me the
No problem. No
that
problem at all.
sometime myself and amongst other things. I think that's totally great. And can we look at your website and social media pages now to see what you have on there and look at your profile a bit? So I'm just going to share the screen so that we can look at that.
Okay.
Okay. So it's definitely not this. Okay. Yes. So this is your Instagram page, right?
Yes.
50,000 followers. Wow, that's really great. That's a big audience.
Is
Yeah.
it? I guess so. I guess so. I guess so. Uh, yeah. So this is our Instagram, and then the other tab I think is the website.
Yes. So let's look at your Instagram. If there's anything peculiar that you want to talk about as we are on, we could.
For social media, basically your online portfolio, you have to be deliberate. You have to be conscious about what you're sharing. You are supposed to you're supposed to put out the best of your works. You understand? The best of your works that depicts your services or your scope of services. You understand? And your range as what you can do as a creative. It's not supposed to be monotonous. Let's say you shoot only black and white, or let's say you shoot only close-ups. You're supposed to show variations that, okay, this is what I can do, this is what I can do. Because at the end of the day, it's one or a combination of those things that may attract a client.
Okay.
They may like black and white, and then they may like close-ups, and they're like, oh, okay, these two like these. I like the way he does them, and then they go with you. You understand? Yeah, so it's deliberate. From time to time, you get feedback from clients and people, and you begin to understand. You begin to fine tune what people are looking for, and the kind of people you want as a result of that as well. If you want people who are interested in arts or a peculiar way of photography, you put out those pictures to attract those kind of people.
Okay.
You understand? You don't just put out all kind of pictures and then expect you have a conflict. You have people who want this, you have people who want that, you have people who want this, you have people who want that. And then at the end of the day, you don't know what you're supposed to deliver to them.
Okay.
You understand? But if you have a specific look to your craft and then you are booked, you know that, okay, this is why they booked you, and you're able to just deliver exactly that.
Okay.
You understand? So your online presence or your portfolio in general, it has to be curated.
Okay.
From time to time, you have to make the cut for some.
Okay.
You have to drop some. You have to add some. All those things. Yeah.
Okay. That's
And as you grow, your taste changes. Your taste improves. So there may be pictures you liked yesterday. Today, you're like, nah. Then you take it off.
okay. That's wonderful. All this really really great advice, and I'm sure we are going to get a lot of people using what they have learned from this to
Yeah, I hope so.
careers in photography. So if you are watching this and then you have any comments, any questions that you want to ask or clarifications, or you just want to get a conversation going, just drop a comment below and then we'll be interacting. So thank
Yeah.
you very much, Lawrence. Uh,
Thank you for your call.
Thank you so much. This is so valuable. And what you've shared here is worth a lot of money. For you, if you were sharing it on a certain stage, you would
Yeah, I'll be making money.
need to say these things. Like, it's so we really appreciate it. I, for one, I really appreciate it that it's you had shared a lot of terms on here. And I would think of it in terms of the value. Imagine if I had attended a workshop to learn some of these things. It,
Yeah.
it would have cost me quite a lot, but now we are getting it on YouTube. Very much.
That's fine. That's fine. I appreciate the opportunity to do this as well.
Yeah, yeah. We look forward to your workshops, look forward to your events, your programs, training programs, and all of that. Just
Yeah.
let me know. I'll patronize it, and I know a number of people who would also be interested in uh, getting involved with that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you too.
All right. Bye.